Hello and welcome. Recently, the Temu website have been scouring the internet to sponsor young, influential and trendy people to advertise their website. And having run out of those, they reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a review of some of the musical related items that they have on their website. And of course I thought that would be fun, so on today's video I am going to demonstrate some of these and unbox them. And we're going to start with this snazzy number, made out of the finest 100% polyester that you can find. Unfortunately in New Zealand Christmas falls in the middle of summer, so it's a little bit warm, but in the northern hemisphere something like this would be perfect to keep you warm during the festive occasion. I'm wearing this in January because that's how I roll, and I've paired this with some lovely socks, which just I mean, they don't fit on my feet, as you can tell by the size of my hand in comparison to the socks, but they look lovely, and I might in fact put these on my tree next year. I'm going to kick things off with this, which I thought was quite interesting. This is designed as a wall plate, something that you put on the wall and look at, and I thought that would be quite a safe choice, so I shall unwrap it noisily. I think actually as a thing to stick on the wall and not interact with, I think this is quite nice. It's not immediately possible to tell what sort of brand trombones they are, but it does have old style contours to it, but it has modern things such as having a screw thread between the two instrument sections and a clearly visible slide lock but no counterweight. So it's an interesting juxtaposition of eras that they've decided to print. And the water key is missing its lever, but if you can put up with those inaccuracies, I think this is quite nice, and I might actually put this somewhere. Moving on to something that might be a little bit more functional, we have a condenser microphone kit. I'm not sure what language this is in, but it says Professional Studio. So this is something that I thought would be quite interesting to have a look at. It purports to be useful for radio stations, recording studios and computers. So in the case we have a mount for this microphone, and there's a stand that you use to clip onto the bench, but it also comes with a mount for a different style of microphone that isn't included. We have one of these spring arm things here, and there's a clamp, so this gets clamped onto the desk and the microphone mount goes on here and it holds it in place. And we've also got an XLR to 3.5mm audio cable, and then a 3.5mm to USB converter. So this is evidently designed to be connected to a computer rather than a mixing desk, so I will plug it in and we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, the microphone is set up. I've got the pop filter engaged, as you can see. I suspect connecting it from XLR straight to a mixing desk would result in a better experience, but that's not what they sent me, so we're testing it as it appears. The next thing that I have to demonstrate is this. This is the Trumpet Musical Instrument Music Song Light, and it is a glorious thing. Like a real trumpet, the mouthpiece can play. The musical scales can play the music. Contents 14 pieces of ensemble, solo and performance, 6 pieces of rhythm, 5 levels of volume. Ensembles and solos are automatically demonstrated and switched synchronously. Big word. The performance is to follow the model, need to cooperate with blowing. Unfortunately, the package has been slightly damaged, but hopefully the contents inside are unscathed. There are some of those annoying ties that they use to attach the item to the packaging, but conveniently they have been detached for us, so they won't pose any issues whatsoever. And here we go. I've put batteries in this trumpet musical instrument music song light, and I'm now going to turn it on for the first time. Number of buttons along the side. That one has a speaker. I'm going to assume it's volume, and the next one has a pleasing stop sign. Does nothing. I presume it's going to stop things. And then there's a few icons that I presume are different types of functions or songs. Baby Shark, one of my favourites, one of the great famous classical pieces. Getting some French culture going there. And then of course there is the function where we can assist by the blowing. So we'll see what that does. So you can have one of 3 notes. Valve combinations don't do anything, but it seems that these light up as you play. That's going to keep a child entertained for mere moments. It's quite fantastic. Let's turn that off. Now we'll move on to a perhaps more analog version of child entertainment with these festive bells. These festive bells are provided in one of 2 colours. The colour that you have on display, modelled so excellently by me, is the colour wood. The next thing I'm going to show you is this. This is a live sound card, and it looks to be something that you would use whilst streaming, and it provides a bunch of functions. I will connect this up. I will connect it up to the computer, and we'll see what it sounds like. So this is the live sound card. The connection here seems to be a little bit dodgy. I'm having to push this against the side of the barrel jack so that it picks up the sound. But I've got the Temu microphone going into this, and then this going from USB to my recording computer. We've got some special effects volume knob, which is quite useful. Because there is all these buttons here that give special effects, and you don't want them turned up too loudly. For instance, if I want to feel popular, I can have people cheer for me. Or I could have somebody give me a kiss. And there's one labelled 9277. There is an awkward button. There's another one called Guys, G-U-Y-S, literally guys.
I love it! You guys are so great!
And an awesome button.
Awesome!
And one that's oddly just labelled as Mary. And there's one called Change Voice. I can press that. I didn't
actually fiddle with that before, so I don't know what it does, nor whether it's actually changed my voice at all, or whether I can adjust the parameters of the voice change if it has changed my voice. I'll have to have a listen in the edit and see what effect that may or may not have had.
So this is the live sound card. It might be quite fun to have a bit of a play with. It's only got 3.5mm input jacks, although there is a reference in the, this is the instruction manual here, there is a reference to Bluetooth, so it may be possible to hook your phone or other devices up to this and stream audio through it.
Next we have one of these synthetic leather valve casing protectors. Now these are sleeves that you wrap around your valve casing and you velcro them together so as to protect the metal or to prevent any of the tarnish if you've got a raw brass valve casing or anything like that from affecting your hands. I've just briefly wrapped it around this. Now obviously this isn't a normal trumpet in that I've added a fourth valve to it, but it wraps around the first three reasonably alright. And it's got some nice protection for the first and third valve tuning slides, which is nice. It doesn't fit up here because this trumpet happens to have a brace right in the middle, so that's a little bit squashed. I wouldn't expect that necessarily on other trumpets, but I could just presumably lop off the bits that don't happen to fit this particular style of instrument. The material, it's obviously not real leather. I don't know what sort of aminor it comes from. It doesn't feel anywhere near as bad as some of the very obviously rubbish synthetic leather stuff. It feels a little bit better than that, but I've got no idea how long it would last. A few years ago I had an attempt at trying to make one of these things myself for my UFO, and what I found is that on the underside of the leather, i.e. the surface that's in contact with the instrument, it ended up blackening it and so forth, whereas the underside of this is nice and soft. So yeah, this is not too bad. One of the more serious things that I was quite surprised to see on the list of things that they have for sale is this. This is part of a dent removal tool. And I have several things like this already, but I was surprised to see this. And what it is a little rod, as you see here, with a threaded section on the top, and on that top you thread a ball. And for convenience, 3 balls are provided. 3 different size balls, from the very small to the slightly larger. And what you do is you thread these balls on the top. You generally lubricate this with some grease of some description, and then you put this down the tubing of your instrument and use it to massage dents out from the inside. Now, as I mentioned, I have a number of these already with different size kinks in them. Some of them are straight, some of them are quite bent deliberately, but they offer just this one rod here. And yeah, I was quite surprised to see this. And there's no reason why this wouldn't function reasonably well for its intended purpose. If you have a dent that's reasonably near the opening of a tube, you can put this in and leverage to try and get it out. Now, I don't recommend that you go out and buy one of these and use it on a bark Strat if you've never had any experience with dent removal, because the thing is that inexperienced people do is they put this in here and they use the end of the tube as leverage, and then in the process of that kink that out from round. So there is somewhat of a technique to using one of these, but getting real ones of these are quite expensive. So having one of these that's available quite cheaply is fairly surprising. It's got a grip on it. The grip is kind of unnecessary because it's neither here nor there, but it's aesthetically reasonably pleasing. If you're going to do instrument repairs as a profession, you'll want a set rather than one that's just got a single fixed angle on the end of it. But it comes with, this is the largest ball, and the smallest one is quite a lot smaller. But yeah, I was quite surprised to see this. The last thing that I'm going to show today is a digital drum. High quality drum samples, a real beat feel. Oh, we start with a pair of what my eye tells me is slightly short drum sticks. These appear to be made out of wood. An oddly plasticky wood. We have a pair of pedals. I wasn't expecting that. These are labelled as sustain pedal. I don't know how many drum kits have a sustain pedal, but we shall explore this together. And here we go. This is just looks like a rubber or silicone type pad, and it has a number of drums on it. Crash cymbal, tom-tom ride, 3 toms actually, Tom, Dick and Harry, we shall name them, a snare and a hi-hat. There is an on-off switch, a USB power supply. There is a receptacle for what looks like batteries, and then pedal, headphone, and MP3 3.5mm jacks. Now, not being a drummist, I'm not very good at drumming or drummery in general, but I'll give you a demo of what each of these things sound like. At the risk of being perhaps too overwhelmed by excitement, I'm going to leave the video recording there. There are links to Temu's website for anything that you've seen me demonstrate today, and if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the down below in the comment section. And thank you very much for watching.